So last week there was, what was that moon again? Blood moon. moon. Yeah. So there was the blood moon. And around that event, there was a whole conversation. Actually, the Kenya Tourism Board, the Ministry of Tourism, working with the Kenya Space Agency, launching what they're now calling Astro-Tourism in Kenya. And we were like, huh? What's that? Does that mean we'll be going to the moon?
Yeah.
Or what exactly does that mean? And we said we shall invite the Kenya Space Agency to come and explain that to us, plus also explain this whole work that they do. How many people know about the Kenya Space Agency? Jacques Matara is the Deputy Director at the Kenya Space Agency. He is here with us now. Good morning, Jacques.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Welcome to us.
Just arrived, thank you.
Just arrived.
Just arrived. Yeah, we've been here for a while. Tangu uende.
Si tumekuwa tu hapa.
Feels good to be back.
Time moves differently in space. You could have been gone for 100 years.
Exactly.
For us, it would be, I don't know.
Yeah.
We refer to that in terms of light years.
Yes. You have never really understood what light
years are.
You'll tell
Today
us
is Space 101.
Yes.
That's what we'll start with before we get into the tourism.
Yeah. I'll give you the
quote from here on Earth. The person who said it is Amadou Hampate Ba. In a UNESCO speech in 1960, he said, in Africa, when an old man dies, a library burns. How do you respond to that? What comes to mind when you hear that? When an old man dies, a library burns.
I agree with that 100%. Because we just launched Astro-Tourism, and there's that aspect of our cultural heritage that we are slowly losing. This young generation, the Generation Z, even us, the older ones, are not able to tell what it used to be. You see, like, relating to that, the sky has always been a guiding light for many communities. We have about 47 communities in the country, and each of those have had a rich cultural knowledge and heritage. But slowly by slowly, that is dissipating. Right now, with Astro-Tourism and combining space science and technology with the sky and, cultural storytelling, we are not able to bring out what our culture has always believed in, has always done. We are now actually going to make a call for stories from across all communities, just on the sky and what it meant for all these communities. Because we don't have them right now. The Maasais have always looked up to the sky, for circumcision, for time to go to war, to raid, all those kind of things, for seasons to plant, to predict the weather and what is going to happen. And all this is disappearing. That is why when an old man dies, if that is not properly documented, and we've not been very good, especially in Kenya, that is an issue.
It's a library burning.
That's so well put. That's really, and even tying it to the stories from this. I don't know whether it's me who just romanticizes. He'll get into it, but everything he said, my mind just goes there. I love stargazing. I love trying to tell stories of constellations. It's not just you. So we're nerds for it.
Yes.
But let's also just allow him to break it down for us.
My party trick for breaking the ice is, look up. Do you see that one? Do you see those 3 stars?
Do you see Orion's belt?
It's Orion's belt,
Orion's
exactly.
belt.
That's my party trick. You see those 3? And then the other one, and then that's Orion. Boom, ice broken.
Do they ever ask you who's Orion?
No. I actually, I've forgotten now.
Who named it Orion?
Orion's
Why Orion?
Orion the hunter.
He was the hunting god, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's those folklores from, ancient kingdoms. The Greek mythologies are very great in that. You look at Egypt. Actually, even the wise men were led to Jesus by a star.
By a star,
Right now, we enjoy a couple of holidays from our Muslim brothers, courtesy of
the moon.
The sight of the moon. Yes. So it has always been there.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And it's for us now to try and make meaning, tell those stories, and also try to see what that means. What does Orion mean?
Yeah.
What does Scorpio and the rest of the constellations that we have in the very vast universe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jacques, you will tell us what the Kenya Space Agency is, but can we start with just defining what is space?
That's a good place to start.
It's a very good place to start.
So space at this point can be anything. Where we are right now is a space in a studio. Kikuyus will say Mogonda, it is their space where you build and stuff. But then basically for space, we have some sort of delineation. So we have space where we live, terrestrial, right here. And then we have up to a certain extent where you're not able to fly like drones and any objects without approval from KCAA or ICAO internationally. That is the commercial airspace. And then we get to the suborbital. So in between the commercial airspace and outer space, where, of course, now the space agency is definitely has jurisdiction and we're doing our things in space. There is that belt in between called the stratosphere. And then after the stratosphere, then you get to outer space. So that is the delimitation of space. So you can define it in terms of what space you're talking to.
The stratosphere is not part of outer space.
The stratosphere is not part of outer space per the laws that exist at the moment. Because the commercial airspace goes to flight level, I think, is it 6,000 kilometers or something? Not 6,000 kilometers, sorry.
60,000 feet.
Feet above
60,000 feet, thereabout, yes. And then outer space begins at 100 kilometers. So that is 10,000. So in between there, still it cannot be allocated to either airspace or outer space. Nobody has jurisdiction.
Okay.
Yes. So that is where now we have what we call the suborbital. Satellites are normally in outer space. And then outer space, of course, is also divided into low Earth orbit, middle Earth orbit, and geosynchronous. That is the highest. Yes.
Okay. Now, should you tell us about Kenya Space Agency?
Yes.
That's very good background.
Now their jurisdiction is on the outer space.
Right.
Okay. So what do you do up there?
Your jurisdiction is
outer
how many
space.
thousand kilometers away from us right now?
No, just 100 kilometers.
Just 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
Okay. Not bad. Not as... So if I go straight up for 100 km, 100 km is between Nairobi and Ntafika Emali.
Yeah, Emali is 120.
120.
Yeah.
Let's use Emali. So drive from here to...
Naivasha is 80. Enda kidogo hapo hivyo ufike wapi before ufike?
Mombasa is 500, so...
That's too far.
Let's
go just a bit past Naivasha.
good measurement.
So
Past
drive
Naivasha.
from Nairobi to
Weybridge.
Naivasha, but Weybridge, yes, but going upwards.
Yeah.
Then we're in your jurisdiction.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Kenya
You're
Space
welcome in there.
Agency. Thank you.
So the Kenya Space Agency is a state corporation established in 2017 via executive order, given a mandate to promote, coordinate, and regulate space-related activities in the country. So this is Kenya's own NASA. And since we are a space emerging nation, we are not yet at the level of US and Europe. We set out with 4 key lines of effort. So number one, we wanted to, or we are looking to enhance the utilization of space technology, applications and services to aid in decision support. The other thing we are looking to do, number 2, is developing a national space capability. That is in terms of infrastructure, putting in place requisite infrastructure, talk about all optical astronomies, ground receiving stations, satellites, innovation laboratories that can be able to help us in building satellites and rockets and all those. And then, of course, not forgetting the human capacity in terms of making sure that, our professionals and the industry, we have the right skills to be able to take up these jobs in space. And then the third one is to promote and nurture Kenya's space economy. There is a lot of potential, a lot of money in space. Every nation is in space. It is the next frontier for confrontation. It is the application that transcends all sectors. So we are looking to be able to take advantage of that to create jobs, to generate income for the government and all that. And then the last thing is awareness. You said people don't know about space. So we are also out there trying to educate the public, even the policymakers, to understand how they can be able to use space to make decisions. For Wanjiku to know that we are not using government resources to send people to the moon, but there are low-hanging fruits, you know, like application of Earth observation in agriculture, improving agricultural production, aiding in disaster risk reduction, you know, things like planning, things that we can relate to that can improve our processes and our quality of life. So along those four key lines of effort, then is now where we are doing, you know, most of the things right now. But as we grow as an agency, then we will now venture into more activities in space.
What's the spectrum of opportunities? You know,
great choice of word with spectrum.
Yeah, spectrum.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
It's infinite, if I can say.
If you could list 3, 4, 5 that I think people would be able to see, oh, okay, I can see how that, somebody could say one opportunity is, I don't know, being charged with space tourism, or I don't know, moon sighting. But what is the spectrum of opportunities for people who are interested in the space?
In the space economy.
So to put it in perspective, the outer space we're talking about has 4 key applications, or there are 4 key thematic areas in space. So the first one that you can all relate to, and I'm sure you're even using it right here, is satellite communications. So satellite communications for people who love their DSTV, for people who love their Starlink, you know, in terms of internet, in terms of network, digital satellite TV and all those kind of things, that is your satellite communications, in simple terms. And then we have PNTs, that is position, navigation, and timing systems. That is how you find your way to places you don't know just by inputting the name, and then you Google, you navigate, you're there. That is how you do your stock market trading. That is how you do gambling, because there is an element of time. All right? You remember back in the day during Kencell and Safaricom, when we used to make calls, okay, not as our parents maybe, you know, with
your parents
with your thumb, with your thumb on the disconnect button. Because then once you go to the next minute, you're charged
for the full
minute. But now with PNTs, there have been augmentation systems. Time has been calibrated, and now it's per millisecond. Whether you let it ring for, you'll still get value for money. Those are PNTs. The other application for that is transportation systems, navigation of airplanes. In these countries like Europe, with their train systems, you've seen trains using the same track, but, you know, very punctual, each leaving at designated time, and you think they're gonna collide. Yes. Those are, it's a combination of that navigation, timing, you know, and positioning. And then
so what's happening in space that is
allowing that?
That is allowing that.
So I can see the satellite communication. This other PNT. Is it an equipment?
Yes. We have a constellation of satellites by a couple of nations that are in the geosynchronous orbit. That is 35,000 above the sea level, which means they are very far away. They are able to cover you know, the globe in one particular glance. They don't need to move like the ones that are closer to cover the Earth in a lot of, you know, orbits and that kind of thing. So once then they are there, you only use 4. If you can check your phone when you have, like, you know, a GPS, they are visible, and since they are all over, you only need 4 to get a location of your place.
Okay.
Yes. So now those systems up there, that is now how we do navigation. That's how we do timing. That is how we do positioning.
So those are the 3 applications. You said the third one is transportation, navigation of airplanes.
Yes, PNTs in that system.
And then the fourth one? Because you said there's 4 key.
The first was satellite, the second was PNT.
Satellite communication, the second is PNT.
The third was...
and then the third is Earth observation. So in Earth observation, this is where we have satellite imageries. Satellite imagery is now, applications are also numerous in terms of weather, in terms of natural resources management, in terms of marine monitoring, surveillance, planning. So it is just those satellites in low Earth orbit are orbiting the Earth and taking photos, basically. Yeah? Yes. So they're taking photos of the Earth. And then you use them now with experts and with software to analyze and draw information from that. They are helping in precision agriculture. They are helping in disaster in terms of if you want to know how a flood is spreading, then you can get an image every hour to know if you're containing it, if you're losing it, where it's going, so that you can make arrangements for those.
Like
because
a
it's an
forest
image,
fire
yes. So you get a couple of images after every hour, after every 30 seconds, depending. And now we have so many assets, so many providers for satellite imagery who can be able to provide this. That is Earth observation, and that is what actually the space agency is concentrating on most, because that is now the lowest hanging fruit for us. To be able to use that, show value, improve our agricultural production, contain disasters, manage disasters, do our urban planning, transportation planning, monitor our borders. You know, with Al-Shabaab, you're able to look at the routes, you're able to do change detection and see what is happening here and there. Even for the presidential directive for 15 billion trees by 2032, you can check every day, see the progress of that, see if the tree cover is increasing or decreasing. You can be able to look at that and tell if Mau is still, growing or it is diminishing. That is Earth observation. The last one is space science and astronomy.
Space astronomy.
Space science,
space
and
science.
astronomy.
Okay.
Yes. So definitely we live in a much larger universe, and we study what is happening out there in space, because it has a relation to what happens on Earth, like space weather. There's different weather to meteorological weather.
Okay.
Yes.
Explain.
So that is because of the action, ionization of emissions of the sun, and it affects systems, electronic systems on Earth, like radars and those kind of things. So if you're not very keen on what happens there, then sometimes you might find planes flying blind because there's been an interference. So it is weather in space. I don't know if they were not able to find another term for it, because then it's very confusing with Met weather, which is now in our atmosphere. Okay. And of course a couple others, like if you remember the NASA DART mission, where NASA drove a spacecraft into a moving asteroid just to see how long it will be delayed, not the inside.
Okay.
Yeah, so that collision, so that just in case an object is headed on a collision course with the Earth, they can delay it a bit to enable it to pass, because the orbits in space are elliptical and sometimes they crisscross. That is where we have these things like the blood moon.
I can see why that is such an important exercise, because the possibilities of the collision are very real.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think having those experiments to delay or divert are very critical.
Has it regularly happened that there's been asteroids on a collision path with the Earth? At least asteroids big enough to cause significant damage, and we've either diverted or,
They have, but
destroyed.
not big ones.
Okay.
Because you've seen falling stars.
Yes.
What do you think they are? They are those small, objects, either comets or whatever, that are also in orbit. Because they are too small, then they burn up. Then you see light and say, make a wish,
Shooting
But if a bigger one, enters Earth, then it can be a disaster. Yeah, it's like a huge rock falling. Imagine about maybe 600 kilometers in diameter. Yes.
That's a huge...
It could flatten a whole city, a whole country, and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So that is what, because that is what now they are trying to look at, especially the nations like the US that are more advanced. Now they've moved from basic applications like we're trying to bring on board. Now they are going to the moon, to Mars, to look for other things, to look for minerals, to look for where they can go if we feel the earth and those kind of things. But we'll get there step by step.
Astro-Tourism. Well, where to go when we feel the earth? I'll put a hold on that because I feel like that's very problematic. It's us feeling like tumeharibu hapa, let's go look for somewhere else to spoil. Yeah, and that's my specific fight against, especially now, not space tourism, but the idea of occupying Mars especially. But astro-tourism, and you can, maybe push back. Astro-tourism, what exactly is it? Because my first thought would be going to space, which is happening. I mean, Jeff Bezos and co are planning to just, go for
make
vibes.
Regular stopovers.
Yeah, make regular. So is that astro-tourism, or is there more to it?
Okay. You're very right. Astro-tourism is broad. Yes. So what Jeff Bezos is doing, Elon Musk, that is still astro-tourism. So if you have a spaceport, a spaceport is that station or the facility that allows you to launch rockets into space. We used to have it in Malindi until 1987. It's now there, but we don't do launches anymore. Okay. But it's coming back. We are planning on doing that. So that is still astro-tourism.
Just before I feel like we need to just dig a little into that.
Yeah.
A lot of people did not know that we had, what would you call it, a space what in Malindi? I read it on a blog by Owa.
It's a space, it's called the Malindi Space Center.
Malindi Space Center.
Yeah.
So there was rockets launching from Malindi at some point, right?
Just for experiment.
27 of them, nope.
27 rockets
launched
from Malindi.
27 sounding rockets.
No, but that's so important because we have to go to a break.
Right.
Put a pin on that.
From
because I think that
$1964.
is among the things that you're saying. If it's coming back,
yes.
What was it doing? What is Kenya Space Agency doing? And if it comes back, then what's the benefit for us?
Right.
Did we draw any benefit out of it? But let's take a break so we can come back and get into that. And please remember that you still haven't told us what astro-tourism is all about. And the entire space.
Aside from going to space and visiting and coming back.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially because we were the other day we were in Samburu looking at the blue moon.
Blood
moon. And we called it Astro-Tourism. Jacques Matara is a deputy director at the Kenya Space Agency, and he's here explaining to us about space, about the potential that Kenya has in space exploration and everything, and whether we can actually make money out of it. And he says there's immense potential for our country. Let's come back and get deeper into that story.
Hey, well said. Humble Generation is saying, if Kenya has its own space agency, why does Italy still run the Luigi Broglie Space Center in Malindi? Shouldn't it be under KSA, like KDF Navy secures our territory? Then he's added, but shout out to Malindians. Can you speak to that, or correct, or verify, or rectify?
Absolutely. He's right. But space business is a very expensive undertaking. You see collaborations all over the place. Even the US is not able to do space on its own. They are constantly reaching out to Kenya and other countries. Like for astronomy, the observatories, you need multiple stations across the world for you to be able to make meaningful, observations, to get the right data. You can't do it from one specific place. And then the fact that, we are differently geographically located in different places, it means we each have different strengths that when we put together, then we are able to do a lot more and get a lot more from space. So that partnership is something that is beneficial to both countries. We have a running contract, and it is the way to go. Right now we are talking about the African Space Agency. Then why would we do that when we have national space agencies. Yes, we are talking about the square kilometer array, you know, which is a kilometer squared, you know, array of telescopes. Yes, but in different locations. Okay. So it is that partnership that enables us not to spend so much. Actually, if it was not about that partnership, then even Kenya wouldn't be able to get to space. Okay. Because even for the launch of Taifa 1, it was put in a rocket alongside 50-something, over 50-something others, which means you just pay for your space. So imagine if you are just going to get your small satellite and take it and hire the whole of the Falcon 9 rocket. How much would you spend then?
Too costly.
Yes.
So then, with this particular space pad in Malindi, the Italians were involved in the establishment of it, in running it until the late 80s. What happened? Who does it belong to now? And what's the role of Kenya Space Agency?
Right.
All right. So the Malindi Space Center was established in 1964, I think, by Professor Luigi Broglio, an Italian professor. And it had two segments, a land segment and a sea segment that was used to launch rockets. Launched actually 27 rockets until I think 1987, when they stopped launching. And then it transitioned to just being a TTNC facility. So telemetry, tracking, and command or control. That means, you see, when satellites are up in space, you need to get information about their health. Their height, you know, everything about that satellite, every information that is the telemetry, you're tracking satellites, downloading data and relaying it to owners of you know, those particular satellites. Okay. So that, and also it's used to also to send, you know, commands. So in that control, and since it is about the only one in Africa, especially into towards the east-facing Indian Ocean, then it is very vital, especially even when it comes to launches. Because when you launch from, like, let's say, French Guiana, there is a couple of stations along the way that take the satellites for tracking and reporting back to the station. And Malindi is the one that confirms success or failure of launches. Okay. It is the last one in that line of stations. So right now we are running it jointly with the Italian Space Agency. We have a running agreement from around 2015 for 10 years. They have a CEO. Kenya has a deputy CEO. And then we have, of course, our staff, you know, from across, you know, both agencies. And we have a joint management board where I also sit. We have a joint steering committee at the PS level and the directors of the space agency, and then a joint council of ministers, where now ministers from both countries sit also occasionally, maybe after every 2 years, to discuss matters relating to our cooperation. So it is something that we're doing together. We have a stake there, and I'm not saying that, you know, we can't run it on our own, but partnerships, especially in space, are very important.
You said it's coming back. So first, why did it stop launching rockets? And when you say it's coming back, what do you mean?
I don't know if I can
divulge some information at this point.
I'm not able to exactly say why. Probably the government knows. But there is also the issue of international relations, you know, geopolitics and those kind of things. So I'm sure there's a reason why, or the platform stopped working, or there were better platforms elsewhere. So the reasons are many. I don't know the specific one.
Okay.
It's coming back.
The comeback?
The comeback now is, of course, part of the plans of the Kenya Space Agency to establish not the Malindi Space Center. It is established, it has its work, and it is, you know, doing well. We want to develop another spaceport.
Where?
And we have a couple of places down at the coast. We have same, Kilifi, Malindi, Lamu. Yeah, so options are there. There's preliminary studies are ongoing to find the ideal location. There is supporting infrastructure in terms of maybe the LAPSET, the Lamu port. And of course that ocean also is important in terms of even bringing in components, heavy components, and and even when launching, you need free space devoid of people, where just in case those rocket debris stages are falling, then you don't have a loss of life. And exactly. Yeah, so it is ideal. And the fact that there is demand also across the world, more nations are getting into space now because of a couple of factors. Miniaturization of technology, satellites are becoming smaller, it's becoming cheaper, and the turnaround time of doing satellites. So even Africa now, everybody wants to launch a satellite, wants to become a launch state. So we want to take advantage of, those business. And the available spaceports also, let me say, very busy. They have very long delay times. You remember when we were launching our Taifa 1, we aborted a couple of times, or whether, I don't know what. So we are just giving an opportunity for business that exists.
Tell us about Taifa 1. The thing with this conversation is it has to be a part 1 and 2, because I think so little is known around the Kenya Space Agency.
So are
and
we
what's
going
happening.
Taifa 1 or Astro-Tourism? I've been waiting for that Astro-Tourism.
Tunaingia Astro-Tourism sahi, but tuambie Taifa 1. Because
briefly, it's
a great name for a rocket,
it
honestly.
Really is,
just the same as the first satellite that was launched by Kenya, from Kenya. It was called Uhuru. Back in 1960. So Taifa 1 is just, another one. Also, there's another that was launched in 2018 by the University of Nairobi. Yes. The first Kenya university's precursor flight. Yes. So this is Taifa 1 is part of what we're talking about in terms of trying to develop our national space capability, infrastructure and human capacity. So Taifa 1, Kenya Space Agency with a private entity called Sayari Labs, partnered, brought together their engineers and other partners from Europe, that is Endurosat, sat down, were locked in a room, in a lab, and built Taifa 1 satellite. It was a 3U nano satellite. So satellites are classified as either 1U, that is a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter cube. You put two of them together, it becomes a 2U, 3U. So it is all the way up to 16U if you want, depending on the kind of payload and the size that you want and the functionality. Yes. So they did that here in Kenya. And then, of course, coordinating and partnering nicely in terms of, doing the requisite tests. And then it was launched from the US, Vandenberg, Space Force Base in California. That is using the Falcon 9 rocket, where I mentioned there were a couple other satellites inside.
A queue.
Yes, there was a queue and there was a couple of them. It's like a matatu. You just pay for your seat. When it gets to your station, you get out.
Kwa container. We're doing container consolidation.
Yes.
Watu umetoka China. Uko na nini? Weka container neja.
Alafu unaingiza.
So Taifa 1 had two purposes. As I said, building our national space capability, because with Taifa 1 now we built a ground receiving station that is able now to communicate with the satellite, get data, control it, and check its telemetry and all that kind of thing, which is a facility that now we have that we can use that we didn't have before. And we also have a satellite, and we also build capacity, especially collaborating with Endurosat in terms of improving the skills of our own engineers. And that one now forms a platform for further developments and improvements on future satellites, Taifa 1A, Taifa 2, or whatever might come.
You're just about to get into Astro-Tourism. Is this information available on the website? I know you've talked about, I'm trying to think of the home of the space agency, whether it's the planetarium or something else. I think Jacques mentioned it, but wondering whether this is a place where people can get all of this history to understand what the breakthroughs were, what's, even talking about Taifa 1, is there a place where people can get this information?
Absolutely. There's the Kenya Space Agency website, but don't put KSA. You just search the whole Kenya Space Agency. The website will come up and all the information is there. If you do KSA, you'll go to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay.
We've tried that a couple of times. And then, of course, we normally share information on our social media pages.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's quite active
across all the platforms.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
Astro-Tourism.
Yeah.
Now we can get into it.
Astro-Tourism. Mariam, you had started Astro-Tourism, so it is very broad. That includes, it is just tech tourism, what it is, just traveling, sightseeing, and, for whatever purposes, whether you want to enjoy beaches, whether you want to enjoy hotels, whether you want to enjoy wildlife, whether you just want to decompress in the wild, and what makes tourism, okay? And now bring in the element of astro. So astro is short for astronomy, definitely. So it has to do with space, astro. So you can either take those, spaceships to near space, enjoy the view there and come back, or you can do it from down here. Because even when it comes to space, even all these assets you're talking about, we have terrestrial, kind of facilities, then we have air, then we have satellites in space and stuff. So for Kenya, Astro-Tourism is something that we've slept on for a long time. Yes. My professors in international relations at UON used to say that, Kenya is full of dead capital. In terms of what you talked about, when an old man dies, yes, as in our old library goes. So in terms of our culture, we are not making use of our culture to generate income. You'd pay a lot of money to go for Kizomba salsa classes, which are from I don't know where, but you will not pay enough to go for cultural dances and,
to learn Mumboko.
To look at the Masai, Mumboko, Isikuti, and all those.
Yeah.
Yes. So once we got established and we got our mandate, then we sought now to grow the space economy. And how we are doing this is actually enabling the private sector. Because in other developed, countries, that is what we've seen. The private sector is taking the lead, look like Elon Musk in the US, and then the government then sits back when the sector is grown. So that is the model that we've taken. And Astro-Tourism launch in Kenya never could have happened without Leo Sky Africa and Sopa Lodges. They took, Leo Sky Africa is a startup in the space sector that is doing astronomy, astrophysics, and all that. And then, of course, approaching SOPA that has very nice locations with infrastructure in place to take advantage of our beautiful, night skies for these. And then, of course, once they had the concept note, and then once it reached the, what is it called, the cabinet secretary, she was amazed. She was like, let's make this part of magical Kenya.
Let it work. What is Astro-Tourism? I'm not
so
getting
Astro-Tourism is that tourism now that involves, the sky. It is going to the edge of space. It is traveling, being under the night skies and just looking up at the sky, for educational, for entertainment, for relaxation purposes, even for culture.
So if I know there's a blood moon coming because I follow the Kenya Space Agency and I'm like, okay, let me find my way to Samburu.
Yes.
Make a trip out of it, maybe carry a telescope, maybe go with the Kenya Space Agency or someone else. That's Astro-Tourism, right?
That is Astro-Tourism.
Okay.
When you even go, we also have local tourists.
Right.
Yeah. When you go to your rural area and
there's no light pollution.
Put your Masai Kikoi down and you look up.
Yes.
Yes, you're enjoying something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're doing that. It's something that we've done for a long time.
Yeah.
But we didn't bring it out as something that we'd use to generate some sort of income.
Right.
That's the connection I want to
Yes,
see.
as something that would bring tourists from other countries to Kenya just for that experience. Of course they came. There is, I think, sky watching in Masai Mara. Traveling Telescope has been doing it, you know, especially during some of these cosmic events, Blood Moon, talk about planetary parade, you know, all those events and the lunar eclipses, the solar eclipses and all those. But then it has not been able to put on a platform where we say that, you know what, I think we can be able to take charge of this and, you know, make something out of it. Generate income, create jobs, and even showcase our rich cultural heritage. And that is what is happening now.
The packaging of it. You see, we talk about our tourism. We sell a bush and beach, right? And the various things in between, flora and fauna. We can say, come to Kenya, you'll find white sandy beaches in the south coast of Kenya. You can go to various national parks where we have conservation efforts. You'll see the big five. You know, there's a way we've packaged it. Why should somebody think of coming to Kenya to look at the sky? Are we saying that Kenya's sky will bring you closer to Venus? I mean, what is it?
Are you asking if Kenya's sky is better than
Apparently,
someone
Kilifi and
else's?
Turkana skies are some of the best sightings in Africa. But anyway, he's here. I'm there just speaking from my knowledge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is that that's unique about our sky?
What is unique about Kenya when it comes to positioning in terms of astro-tourism is a combination of our geographical location at the equator, our very rich cultural heritage, and an emerging space science capacity. So you combine all those. Number one, Kenya is at the equator, cutting right through the middle. So any optical observatory that you put, an optical observatory is now that station with telescopes, which you use to look up. So any that you put there, it means that you can do observations to the southern hemisphere, constellations, and the northern hemisphere. They are spread out. They are not in the same location.
Right.
Something that you're not able to say about some of the other very pristine skies across the world, like Namib. According to the where it is related in relation to the equator, it is somewhere up. If you go to Hawaii, if you go to the Atacama Desert of Chile, it is south. The other one is north. So this one gives you sort of that advantage that you can look on both. And people know about these constellations. Some of them have beliefs. I don't know about those from Europe. I know about a few about, you know, Africa. Then once you combine that geographical location, the other thing is, like, you know, Kenya is about 60% asal, arid and semi-arid lands, which means that, you know, our weather is almost clear for large periods of the year. And then there is the element of Africa being a dark continent. Yeah, it's a disadvantage. You look at it as something that is negative, but it is a blessing in disguise, because optical observations, astronomy, requires minimal light pollution. You're not able to see a lot in Nairobi because it is
Bright.
The pollution here is a lot. So once now you combine all those elements, because now we have a lot of asals and we have a lot of developments in those, they call them ecologies. In Samburu, in our national parks, protected areas where you're supposed to set up infrastructure in a certain way, then there is infrastructure, there are beautiful skies. I had never been to Sopa Samburu. I've been to Samburu, but there was not a single cloud there up in the sky. my guys at KICC struggled with clouds, to spot the moon, even at waterfront. But that place was amazing.
It was clear.
And then now that we have all these places, we have Loyangalani, we have Chalbi Desert, we have Mount Kenya, we have, the Samburu, the Masai Maras, and all those. What you need for this Astro-Tourism, again, is supporting infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah? Supporting infrastructure in terms of how do you access it. The government has done an amazing job with roads and accessing those particular places. They're beautiful places to stay. Yeah? And then a combination of that with, the safari experience, the wildlife experience. Like for Sopa Samburu, bird watching as well. I saw birds I've never seen before. Combining that one and then now adding Astro-Tourism as part of that experience.
Like that, layering it almost. And it works.
You don't understand how privileged it is to be able to look up and see the sky and the stars. See the Milky Way with your naked eyes. See the morning star and the evening star. In other places in the world, you're not able to see anything past the smoke because of industrialization or the clouds or too much light pollution. So this is something, I can tell you a short story. During GABS, we went for dinner somewhere in Loresho. And then we were outside enjoying conversations and networking. And some visitors, of course, definitely from Europe or whatever, came and like, did you guys set up that? They were pointing to the swamp just next to where we were seated. And there was a symphony coming from there of frogs and crickets. They've never had that anywhere.
Was it part of the entertainment?
They thought it was a speaker put down there and, just playing that music. That is what I can say. It's what people don't have the privilege of experiencing out there. Yes.
Okay. I know we're at the end, and I think hopefully it also speaks to how communities benefit.
Right.
Because you see, again, if it's the Kilifis, the Samburu, it's how does Astro-Tourism pulling in those people to see something that's rare, but how does it also benefit local communities? Because I think that then builds into that ecosystem where it's not just for privileged folks who can go there and take out the telescope and enjoy, but also that's also trickling down. But that the community is also involved in telling those stories.
Right.
Absolutely. So like if you look at the naturalists that we have, those who are able to tell those cultural stories about what the sky meant to them, it is something like, that we are willing to collaborate. And since the Kenya Space Agency is just coordinating and bringing people together, it is something we are willing to do. And with our outreach programs, to schools, to universities, then people are going to know about this. Kids from those communities are going to take up some of these, careers in space. And we'll have nation that is Astro...
that is spaced out.
Astro walk.
Spaced out.
Yeah.
Good one.
There you go. So we exit the space.
Yes.
Love it.
All right.
Jacques Matara, Deputy Director at the Kenya Space Agency, has been our guest for this hour, and thank you very much for educating us. I think you need to come back and, come with that planetarium one of these days. We just put a camera in.
Yes.
I was trying to do it off mic, but anyway.
Mic for ground.
Twende Samburu.
Yes.
Ready to do that.
Yes.
Tufanye show usiku.
Yeah. No, but hata tunaanzanga usiku essentially. Yes.
That's true.
So, hashtag is Fixing the Nation NTV. Thank you so much for staying with us. The conversation continues right after this break, but of course, a big thank you to Jacques and the Kenya Space Agency.